Okay, and what we want to do in this video is come on to our fourth non-price determinant of supply. So this is the fourth thing that would cause the supply curve to shift. So what we've already talked about is changes in subsidies and changes in indirect taxes, changes in technology and changes in other related goods prices. Now what we're coming on to is resource costs, and as you can see we're getting through this idea of the term stores. Okay, so subsidies and taxes, technology, other goods prices that the firm can produce, and now we're on to resource costs. Okay, so just to remind ourselves what an outward shift of the supply curve looks like, all it means is that the entire curve shifts to the right, and it means that every price more is supplied, and this is known as an increase in supply. A shift causes a change in supply, a movement, which is a change in price, causes a change in quantity supplied. On the other hand, when the supply curve shifts inwards, we have at every price less is supplied, and this is known as a decrease in supply. Now, a couple of definitions, or we'll just pretty much this one. Resource costs. These are the costs that the firm incurs in order to produce its output. So what the firm receives is the selling price of the good itself. It receives P, all right? It receives the price. Now, the idea here is that these are costs to the firm, the costs that the firm must pay in order to be able to supply us with whatever good they are supplying us, okay? Now, usually the cost of both labour and raw materials, of course it can be land, and enterprise is, well, something that we'll look at later, but basically it's what is a residual payment, which is profit, and that's what the entrepreneur pays themselves. Okay, but what we are talking about, and this is very important that I do mention this point, is that the cost of the factors of production. Okay, you need all of the factors of production to produce anything, and we're saying if they rise, well, what's the effect on supply? So their costs that the firm incurs in order to produce this output, that's what input costs are, resource costs, whatever you want. You know, they're synonyms for each other, okay? If any factor costs increase, then the firm's cost of production will have risen. That would mean that and again this is somewhat of a trivial answer explaining the law of supply, but still we're going to go with it. That would mean that the profit margin per good sold has been reduced. Okay, and that would cause an inward shift of the supply curve, all right, just like that. Whereas if factor costs fall, the profit margin per good sold would increase, and as such there would be an outward shift of the supply curve. All right, so what we're saying here is this is a fall in resource costs. This is a fall in the cost of factors of production. And when there is a fall in the cost of factors of production, there is an outward shift in the supply curve. This means that at every price more is supplied, and this is known as an increase in supply. Nothing we have not seen, guys, okay? And then on the other hand, if there is a rise in resource costs, well, what we're saying is the selling price of the good hasn't changed, so therefore it can't be a movement. So it has to be an inward shift. And that means that at every price, less is supplied, and this is known as a decrease in supply. Again, explaining the law of supply, but what we are still talking about is the profit margin per good sold. So what the firm may do in the case of a rise in resource costs, particularly if it's producing more than one good and only the cost of factors of production for a particular good has risen, they will reduce the quantity of that good they produce at every price and try and increase the quantity of other goods that they can produce. Guys, I really hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I very much look forward to seeing you in the next video.